This is a demo for the Sekani School Manager, a school management system that has been developed to help you manage finances and other aspects of your school's administration. So each and every user will have their unique login details that they use to access the system. Once a user logs in, they are going to be presented with a dashboard. This dashboard will show a summary of the active students and the monthly revenue. It will also show a class summary for the classes, the various classes that you would have configured in the system. The enrollment module allows you to capture information about a student. While you are capturing information about a student, you can also assign fees to that student. For example, if this is a new student, we assign boarding fees, we assign transport fees, but we don't assign bus levy and fees top up. When you save, this student will have these fees assigned to their account. So each and every student will have a separate account for managing their fees record. Okay. So the bulk student import will allow us to upload students in bulk during deployment. Disabled records will show a list of students who have been disabled for various reasons. Under Student Manager, we have the student list where we can see a list of all the students that have been enrolled in a student. If we view a particular student, we can see their record and all their information. Under the account tab, we can see the student's account in their fees overview. So for example, we have this student who is fully paid up. We can allocate a certain fee group to this student. Let's say boarding fees for term 1 2024. When we process and go back to account, we can see that now we have charged boarding fees for this student. We also can generate a pro forma invoice. The pro forma invoice will show the balances that the student has. The payments tab will show all the payments that have been made by that student, and depending on the user's permission, you have an option to process a refund on a certain payment. The statement tab displays the student statement, which shows all the fees that have been assigned to that student and all the payments that have been made by that student. It also shows a credit balance for that student. So this credit balance is an excess fees payment. So what the system does, if you capture an excess payment on a certain fees type, the remainder of the change is saved as a fees balance. So for example, this boarding fees, there's a balance due of 400. When we try to capture a payment, since the student has credit of 40, we can opt to use the credit of 40 as well. And then let's capture $360. And then there's also an option to put a reference and then a mobile number to send a receipt via SMS. When we save the payment, we can see that the payment has been captured successfully. We have an option to print a receipt, whereby we can configure a printer to print a receipt. So this will be the receipt for this payment. If we come back to the account, we can see that this fees has been paid. If you go to the payment section, you can see that this boarding fees, the amount paid was $360. The credit applied to that payment was $40. On the statement, if If you go to boarding fees, we can see that the amount paid is $400. It was paid via the CBZ 360 and a credit of $40. Let us do a refund of this payment. We've processed the refund for this payment. We can see the credit has been refunded back and the payment balance is 400. Another option is to use the Zimbabwean currency. Let's say this person wants to pay 400,000 Zimbabwean dollars. We put the date, then we select ZWL currency. The system will prompt you to provide a rate that you are using for this particular payment. So what the system does, it will convert, it will see how much is 400,000 at a rate of 17,000 in US dollars, and it will deduct the equivalent US dollars on that fees. So in this case, the 400,000 was converted to $23.53 at a rate of 17,000. So this is their balance now. If you go to payments, it indicates that the payment was in ZWL converted to US dollars. The system also has the various modules, like the classes module. The classes module, you define your classes. This is where you can define the various classes that you have at your school. We have the class migration module. The class migration module will allow you to move students to the next year. Suppose at the end of 2024, we would want our students to be migrated to the 2025 class. We select current class ECDA, now goes to ECDB, and so forth, up until the last class. Maybe if it's grade 7 or form 6, they are migrated to the old students class. Then you start migration, all the students will be migrated to the next class. Okay, and then we have the school IDs module. The school IDs module will allow us to generate school IDs for all our students. So let us generate IDs for ECDA, right? And then we generate cards. We wait for the system to generate our cards. We have successfully generated 20 ID cards. Then we click download school ID cards. We save them to the desktop. Once it downloads, we can open the zip file, and then this will be the student IDs. Right? If we open an ID, we can see how it will look like. Then you can go ahead and print out this ID card. This QR code here is a scannable QR code. Currently, we are working on a mobile application that is going to work hand in hand with this QR code. The mobile application will allow you to scan this QR code and get information on any fees due for that student. So that is how the ID cards module will work. We have the fees management module. The fees management module will allow you to define various fee groups. For example, we can define another fee group. We name it transport, $67 for 2025. Then we select if it's a once-off payment or a termly payment. If it's a termly payment, we select the billing period. If it's a monthly payment, we select the month. And then if we enable recurring assignment, this option will allow us to say that if it's a recurring assignment for January, in February, when we want to assign all the students who have been given these transport fees, when we want to assign them to February, it will be easier. We can just do it by the click of a button. So for example, we go to fees assignment. This is where we assign fees. If we click on process recurring fees, it will prompt us to say that what is the current month, if it's January. If we click on proceed, all the students who have been assigned January fees will also be assigned February, that fees in February, in March, April, May, as you go. So that is how that works. Okay. Remove assignments will remove fees assignments from certain students or student groups. And then bulk invoices will allow you to generate bulk invoices for your clients. So you can generate pro forma invoices for all your school. Maybe at the end of the term, you generate pro forma invoices, then you give them, print them, and give them to students. The accounts module allows you to capture your income and expenses. So in the category section, you can form your income categories into expenses categories. And then under income, you can capture your income, the date, the amount, and then you select the group, the income group, the payment mode that you use to receive that, and then you can specify the currency. Right. Let's move on to reports. There's the student balances report, where you can see the balances or the state of affairs for certain groups of students across the certain fees groups. So for transport fees, for fees top-up, for boarding fees, these are the balances. So this one will only show the applicable balances, right? You can print this report using your preferred printer. And then another report that we have is the single fee group report, whereby you can select to view the breakdown for only one fees group. So for example, this transport fees for January 2024, we can see all the students, what they were charged, what they paid, and their balance. So basically this is the fees group report. We can move on to balance summary report. Balance summary report will show you a summarized report for the selected fees for the whole school. So for example, we've selected these fees groups, these 3 fees groups. We can see that we are charging $40 for transport January. We've allocated 100 students, so we expect 4,000. No discounts were issued. Amount paid 120. The parents still owe us 3,880. So it's more of an overview of your fees. Okay, we'll move on to the payments report. The payments report will show you all the payments that have been made on a selected period. Okay, so this will be the payment report. So it's a breakdown of all the payments that have been made. And lastly, I'm going to show you the income and expenses report. The income and expenses report will show details about the income and expenses for a selected period. So this will be the income and expenses report in both currencies. Okay, so and then it also highlights the total credit excess payments that have been made by the parents. So this is the figure of the excess payments. This is your profit for that period in both currencies, and also your income, other income groups, and also your expenses, also included under income your fees takings for the various fees groups. Okay, and lastly, we have the settings panel, where you can configure your logos and your contact details, which will show all the invoice. And then you can also configure your payment methods to say that if you have maybe you don't use CBZ, you use just bank, USD cash, USD EcoCash, various payment methods that you have. And then you have your users panel. Your users panel will allow you to add and delete users and select various user roles. So these are the user roles that we have. Okay, and then we have the logs. The logs will show you who has done what and at what time in the system. So if a certain user deletes a certain student, you can come to the logs and just see who has deleted or disabled a student. We also have this search functionality where you can quickly search for certain students. Let's say we need a student with this surname. If we search, we get all the Masons here, or maybe one Terra. You can see there's Terra Mason, Terra Farrell. Then we can go ahead to view the student. So that is the search functionality. So basically that is the system, and that is how it works.